Yo, you're listening to All Elite Podcast. Boom.
And it is the worst podcast ever. We lied. Ow!
This is Isaiah Cassidy. I'm Mark Quinn. We're Private Podcast.
This is the All Elite Podcast,
You're listening to the All Elite Podcast.
which happens to be the worst podcast I've ever been on. SCU!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the All Elite Podcast right here on the No Holds Barred Network, your source for all wrestling podcast content and more. I'm your host of the All Elite Podcast, as always. I'm your owner and CEO of the No Holds Barred Network, your self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, and I'm always here joined on the No Holds Barred Network by herself. She is a woman of many names, but on here on the podcast, she is the queen of the indies, the heartbreak chick, Tiffany. I missed one, but it's okay. What's going on, Tiff?
Horrible.
What's going on?
Damn, I should have adjusted with you before
Oh yeah, we
seeing
forgot to
the
do our
camera.
spiel. But
Oh man,
what's going on, Tiff?
I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah, still living that
I'm
quarantine life.
That quarantine life, that podcast life, and me and Calvin eat, breathe, sleep podcast, right? Like
God, like everything. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about it today, and I was talking with a friend of mine. And I'm like, I was in a routine, right, to go to my, the corporate job and then come back and I would do podcasting once or twice a week. But now, I've been working on it full time. It's almost like I still have a job, but just I get I have a routine where I get up, I have breakfast, I have my coffee, then I go right on the computer and I do podcast stuff. It's like I wish. It almost seems tedious now, but I'm sitting there going I kind of wish I got paid to do this on a daily basis.
it's a lot. I always really do not realize what it is to run a podcast. It's a lot. So just like I appreciate all the wrestlers and even the scenes people as well, but podcasters too. It's rough.
Yeah. We are here. We're live here on YouTube. Thank you for everyone that are tuning in live. Thank you if you're watching back here on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that like button. That's the most important thing. Smash it. Hit it. You're also subscribing to No Holds Barred Network for awesome wrestling podcast content that me and Tiff are going to be pumping out here during this whole pandemic to keep you guys occupied. Me and Tiff are actually currently working on a new show to be added to the network. We have a name for it finally. We have a logo drawn up. I'm going to do some finishing touches on it. Going to get a background done for it, and then we'll release it. We have, maybe three guests already lined up for the show. I guess we can kind of give details of what we're kind of doing with this show, Tiff.
Yes.
If you kind of want to give a basis of what we're doing.
Okay, so I came up with the idea because it's so hard to add an extra person to guest on the All Elite podcast since we do reviews a lot. And we want other opinions with other podcasters or people that are related, even Darren. Darren does the music for all our shows and stuff. And we want to have these table conversations with other podcasters as well. We want to know what's going on outside of even AEW. We want to talk some Stardom. We want to talk with the podcasters and roundtable discussions. So yeah, so we came up with the idea that we're gonna have another show. Sometimes it's mostly gonna be me and Kyle together, but there is the chance of maybe Kyle will do an episode without me, or I'll do a podcast without Kyle. So it's just gonna be a random podcast that we're gonna work with other people like you guys out there. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah. So we're hope to get the finishing touches on that done, and then we'll get our first guest in. We'll do our first episode. I'm excited about our first guest. Tiffany kind of just said it. We're gonna get Darren. If you guys don't know who Darren is the lead singer of the band These Wolves. They do our theme song here on the All Elite podcast. They do other theme songs for stuff on the network as well. They've used the song Dead to Me in AEW with the whole MJF and Cody feud, the promo package leading up to Revolution. It was used for that. We've seen recently that the song Enough is Enough was used for a theme song for an indie talent. He was appeared on Dark and on Dynamite simultaneously, so that was huge for Darren. So we kind of want to get him on a podcast and kind of roundtable discuss with him about, obviously him and These Wolves. We want to talk about his love for wrestling, and we kind of want to get you guys more knowledgeable about him as well. So it's going to be like a mix of a roundtable discussion and interview type podcast. It's going to be both of those worlds coming into one show together. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get it out there for you guys. And as for now, we're going to be back here weekly on the All Elite podcast talking that AEW World.
AEW.
Which is, according to John Moxley at the end of Dynamite this week, is the best thing going right now. And he is on top, which he did retain the champion. And # still, John Moxley retains the AEW Championship, which we'll get into in the Dynamite part of the show. But we kind of give you guys, if you guys are new, we kind of give you guys a general idea of how the show goes about. We talk about everything that goes on with AEW, and then we kind of give our recap of Dynamite. But it's basically, we just kind of give you guys, the new listeners out there, if you haven't listened to one of these episodes before, what we do here. And we talk about what's going on in AEW World first, and then we recap Dynamite, and then we kind of go over like Being Elite. Being Elite this week was huge, so we'll go over that later as well. This week on the AEW, I don't know what's going on here.
There's a lot going on between BTE giving us 3 episodes and Dynamite. It's crazy in the AEW world right now. And
then we saw a commercial for it on Dynamite this week. Looks like they're going ahead with Double or Nothing still.
They put a statement out.
Venue-wise, it's not going to be in Las Vegas, obviously, because they're completely shut down until June, July. So I don't know if they have plans of taping it at QT's gym, or I know now, I've read today that WWE and AEW have been deemed an essential. Pro wrestling has been deemed essential service in Florida, so they're free to tape live now. So I imagine now Double or Nothing is going to be live. It'll be live either from Daly's place, or maybe they'll expand QT's gym a little bit bigger and do something in there. But Double or Nothing will most likely go down without a crowd, and it'll be live. So
that's fine.
It's just crazy.
Well, I saw also, I don't know if you saw that even like the MGM Grand, like somebody had sent out a message saying about Double or Nothing, and that they're giving you the option of you can have a refund for your tickets, or it can be used in the same seats for the following year.
Oh,
it was
cool.
May 29, 2021.
Yeah.
So that's
what would you do?
Out. Well, I mean, you see, you can't act like you and me, because you and me are running an AEW podcast. So I would hold off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, if you're in trouble, like you need like money or whatever like that, then I would be like, all right, let me refund this or whatever. But tickets are already bought. Same thing. You and me have tickets for Dynamite, right? And it got pushed, and I'm sure it's going to get pushed again. I mean, pretty much here, a lot of stuff is not going to, it's not going to happen in the summer. All the concerts and things like that aren't going to happen until 2021. So, like I said, it really depends on the spot you're in. You and me running the podcast, I would hold off.
You know what I would do?
Tickets for next year.
What I would do, because I see a lot of people complaining about this. A lot of people are complaining now that Double or Nothing is not going to be shown in a crowd. People are like, oh, they should be giving discounts for the pay-per-view. Well, no. Yes and no. Yes, I see where people are coming from with, they should be giving some sort of a discount now with what's going on. And we're not going to get, that same pay-per-view type feel as we would with a regular pay-per-view with a crowd.
Right.
I agree with those people in that sense. What I don't agree with is because there's going to be no crowd, there's no revenue to be generated through them, and there's none of that revenue money to pay the wrestlers who get a percentage of that revenue. So they need to make money. These people that are going to perform at Double or Nothing are going to need to make money somehow. Yeah, they're going to make money from their contracts, but there's also that pay-per-view bonus. So you paying full price for that pay-per-view is paying the wrestlers to perform for that pay-per-view.
And with what you're seeing a lot of indie talent too. They're bringing in indie talent from like all over the place as well. So not only is it a tryout, they're also helping the indie world because they're out of a job, because in reality, we're not even seeing the indie scene right now, live and pay-per-views. I mean, a lot of indie promotions are running like maybe stuff on Fight TV, stuff in the vault from years ago, or they're putting best of matches and putting it on Fight for a discounted price. So, I mean, I would think also even with that they're trying to help the indie scene as well. And we don't really even know what happened to the card. So think about it. Because of everything that's going on, the original build of the card for Double or Nothing is not going to happen.
Yeah. I guarantee they will, because they have all those indie talents there, right, in Florida that they're helping out and showing on Dynamite and Dark. That Casino Battle Royal, that's probably going to feature all of them.
Right.
So they're gonna get a pay-per-view buy. They're gonna get a pay-per-view check. So guys, the people that are complaining out there right now that they're gonna have to pay full price for the pay-per-view, why? Don't complain. Pay for it. You're supporting the wrestlers. You're supporting AEW by paying full price. And if you're a person that had a ticket to the event, you don't want to, you're choosing not to you're opting out not to go next year, get that refund from that ticket and then buy the pay-per-view. I'm sure most of the people that are getting the refund that are sitting at ringside will have more than enough to buy the pay-per-view already. So
Kenny said in the chat, is the Casino Battle Royal even going to happen? That amount of people at once? I don't think so. I mean, look at it that even what we saw on BTE this week, we didn't really have as many in the ring. So I'm sure there's still got to be some sort of standards and going on as well in Florida, even though it's like
maybe
essential.
They have a gauntlet. You know what I mean? Like a casino battle gauntlet.
Well, I don't think there wasn't every pay-per-view that had happened. So, of course, they got to work with what they work with. So, we don't even know. Some of the wrestlers might not even fly out because they don't feel safe, or maybe they can't get a flight out of wherever they are. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I mean, really, we're just going to have to sit and watch what happens within the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's like a little over a month away. A lot can happen within that time.
For sure. Nothing. It's a day by day thing, right? Right. We don't know what's going to happen by, I don't know, May 10th, May 12th. What if by then they approve of, more of, maybe they approve wrestling to have multi-man matches. I mean, they've had tag team matches though. You know what I mean? We've seen tag team matches, which is 4 or 5 people in the ring with each other. So it's really tough to see what they can actually do with that Casino Battle Royal. But it is still going to go down. It's going to be live. It kind of sucks that they've now deemed this an essential service now, because this has been deemed an essential service after AEW's just taped 6 weeks leading up to Double or Nothing. So we're not going to get a live Dynamite until after Double or Nothing. At least they can tape live starting after that. So until then, we have to go
prepare. They had to prepare for the worst, right? Yeah. So, but at least we're gonna get a pay-per-view. Then it being completely shut down. Now, again, I'm mixed with it. I go back. You have to worry about your wrestlers and even the roster behind the scene as well. So these are things you have to worry about. But I'm sure with Tony Khan, with the fact that it was so important of having healthcare and doctors around as well, that I'm sure a lot of them are protected. But that doesn't mean anything. You just don't know where you can catch this.
Yeah, well, these doctors aren't protected by Lance Archer. Just don't be a ringside when Lance Archer makes his entrance. Just saying. Get out of the way. Jump over the fake barricade. They just hide, because no one's safe. Yeah. Everybody dies.
Yeah. He said, do you think Kenny said, do you think they'll scrap some of those and do them live? They could and save some of the matches for like a later day and mix it into like a Dynamite later.
They redo an entire Dynamite that they've taped live. Like they redo it.
Like,
they
you
could.
You could like mix like even like the indies. You could take out like maybe like if Sean Spears wrestled somebody like, you know, in the indie scene to showcase somebody, they can take that match out and save it for a later time. So
it's some clever editing. It's very clever.
Yeah. Well, like they are pretty good at editing, so it's really not that hard to, you know, do a lot of this editing in. So I can see a bunch of. I think we seen that last night in Dynamite because Moxley and Hager were taped at Daly's place weeks ago.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone like said like this is going to be the end of our commentary night. We're going to turn it over to JR, who's going to be doing the empty arena match. So yeah, there's definitely many possibilities now they could do now that they're deemed essential. And it's either you go ahead with what you have, everything you've taped, and you stick to it, or you try to mix in live with taped, or you just kind of scrap one episode and say, okay, you know, we taped this one episode on the first week of May. We don't really like how it turned out. We're going to do that episode of Dynamite live and kind of redo it. You know what I mean? They have the tools to do stuff like that, and I do have faith that AEW will do something that, you know, that does work out. So
you got to give them credit. At least they're doing something. We're getting something, right? Like a lot of people complain we're not getting any sports or whatever. At least we're getting something. So you have to give them credit, you know. And like I always say, like, you know, these guys are putting their bodies on the line and wrestling and even like behind the talent and they're giving us something. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anybody's in any, you know, way to like really like judge that. So
anywho, we'll have to see. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm intrigued about Double or Nothing going live as follows. I imagine they'll go to Daly's place. They're gonna create like a unique Double or Nothing kind of set. We're gonna get like the casino chips and everything, and we're gonna get. You know what? I think it works. And I think you know what they should still do? They should still have the wrestlers at ringside. Like the people that are not on the card should still be at ringside. Like some of the, maybe the indie talent. It's great. Yeah.
You can even have like a few. It works. It makes it even entertaining. Like, you know, like even, who was it? Lance Archer was grabbing signs yesterday in Dynamite. You know,
Poor
like
Austin Gunn.
And it makes it entertaining. Like it's the littlest things. You know what? They're trying. They're, you know, and you can't be so serious. You can't nitpick. Like they're trying, and these are the little spots that make me laugh. So good, kudos to AEW. You know.
Right. Other than that, like we said, like BT was like 3 parts this week. It's all leading up to episode 200, which they announced that we're gonna get Matt versus Nick for the first time ever on BTE of all places at the Jackson compound in that ring they have that we've been seeing matches that have been happening on Dynamite.
BTE's been clever as hell this week. A lot of great stuff.
As for Dynamite this week, an interesting episode this week. I wouldn't say it was my favorite episode, but I thought it was all right. We had some bracket progression. The one thing that they're doing is I found was pretty cool. Maybe not cool to me because I'm Canadian and we usually get snuffed out of wrestling stuff and I'm kind of used to it by now. But this was pretty cool. I took a screenshot of it. It's true, okay? I get snuffed out of all wrestling contests. It sucks up here, okay? I couldn't even order Jericho's Bubbly when it first went on sale. That's why it sucked. So this is pretty cool. So this is the contest they launched, and I'm assuming this is going to happen every AEW Dynamite, or if they just did it for this week. There wasn't really a clarification on how long they were doing this, but this was cool. So I put it up on the screen for you guys. It was like a watch-along live for a chance to win AEW merch prize pack. And the rules were simple. You had to tweet a 10-second clip of yourself watching Dynamite, and I saw lots. People were getting on this like hardcore and then like being creative about it too. Like a lot of people were like, I saw one where a guy was like drinking Jericho's Bubbly, and he's like fresh out of it, and Jericho retweeted it, and he was like, "Get that guy some more Bubbly."
Well, I saw Jimmy did it. And then our friend Kat, she's a nurse, and she had the mask on. She goes, "Oh, this nurse is enjoying this." So shout out to you, Kat.
Like people were getting
Great.
very creative, and you had to hashtag watching AEW, and then that's it. You're entered to win, and then the prize pack was a top selling T-shirt, hats, and more from AEWShop.com, and half a case of Jericho's bubbly. Yeah, you're getting half a case of champagne for randomly being picked in this contest. So that was pretty cool. So
I need a little bit of bubbly.
Unfortunately, in the fine print, you must be a resident of one of the 50 states.
I should be nice and like do some of these with Kyle and then like split it with Kyle.
Yeah.
Hey, look, at least you have a friend that lives in the States that you're cool. I could be nice. I could be nice, you know.
Anyway, that was a really cool contest.
See, Kenny said he got you. You know people in the States. You're good.
How do you give away half a case of Jericho's bubbly from a guy who's Canadian?
What? You're gonna have to come back to New York when all this is over. You can come here. We could have a little bit of the
Fun fact: if not a lot of people know this, but Jericho was once billed from Manhasset, New York, for a while in WWE. So I guess I think he lived there once. I think it was back when his dad was part of the Rangers. Anywho, Rihu.
Not far. Yeah.
So like I said, we had that contest going. We had some progression in the bracket. Put the bracket up there for you guys. It's updated bracket. So we saw.
I'm glad they're not saturating us with the bracket. I like it that we're only getting like one a week.
It's good. It feels like a legit tournament, right? You're not getting it all at once. You're spreading it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, unless it was like a pay-per-view, I'd be okay with that. You know, but I'm liking that we're not getting saturated with it. You know, at least it gives us something to build to, right? Like we're like, okay, now like what's gonna happen next week? You know, so I'm liking it.
So we saw last week Cody defeating my boy Sean Spears, moving on to the semifinals. And then this week, Lance Archer facing off against Colt Cabana. He won, so he's moved on. Now we're left with Dustin and Kip and Darby and Sammy G. I guess we'll go through Lance and Colt Cabana first. And you must be happy because Colt Cabana didn't move on. I know you're not a fan, but I kind of have to tell you something, Tiff. My girl, Mrs. Masters, fan of Colt Cabana, and she's bought in a T-shirt.
All right, I need to have a conversation with Mrs. Masters. All right,
Just
all right.
saying.
I need to have a conversation with you. Look, you know what's funny? What I was thinking about last night, I was like, did these two ever wrestle in Japan? I was like, and then I had to ask Ray. I'm like, did this ever happen in Japan? Like New Japan? Like, why did this never happen? This match? So, but I mean, it was good. I have my spots that I get irritated with.
Is it when he's goofy you don't like?
And it's weird because I love Yano. You know, like I don't know what it is.
And you love Michael Nakazawa, so when Colt does something goofy, I don't know why you don't like that.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. He just annoys me.
You're like Kenny. You just don't like him.
I don't know what it is. I just don't like him. I don't know. It's just, it's okay. It's all right. But whatever. It was, you know what? It was a match that I didn't expect. And,
It's all right.
You know, again,
Colt got some offense in. Like, Colt got, like, for the spots that he got, he looked pretty good. But then, like, obviously when Lance Archer, you're going to build this guy up as a giant beast. So whenever he got his offense in, he would just demolish.
Yeah.
Colt
At least
Cabana.
it wasn't like a squash match.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, again, okay, fine. You had some humor in it, and I get it, and that's his character as well. But I was kind of expecting a squash match. So I'm glad that we got, like, an actual match out of it. Right. So, but yeah, I'm very happy Archer got pushed forward.
And we actually had some like storyline progression in this tournament as well, because Sammy G had his match against Pineapple Pete or Shug D.
Yes.
Which that was interesting because these guys, it was basically a clash of personalities and clash of egos because both of them acted the same way or have like the same ego in the ring. Like they're just full of themselves, right? Obviously Sammy G with the more heel aspect to it and Shug D with the more fun, and like he was like sleeping on the turnbuckle when Sammy G was making his entrance.
Right.
But we saw some storyline progression, as I was saying, after the match. Sammy G cut a promo on Darby saying, basically, this is what I'm going to do this is how much I'm going to kick his ass. And he started beating on Shug D, and then Darby came out and then scared the shit out of Sammy G, and then Sammy G ran away. So I love that they're kind of still like doing something with the term. It's not like just they're going to have a match and that's it. They're
getting a little bit of story.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of story, so which is great.
Yeah, with the Cody and the Lance Archer one, and now with that, and then I don't know, they haven't really done anything with Dustin and Kip. That I feel like that's just going to be a match in itself. I don't know. It's I think it's probably going to be Cody Darby in the semifinals, and Lance and Dustin in the other semifinals.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of agree with you.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough to see Dustin beat Kip because Kip has been actually on a roll, and he won this week. So Kip's
getting so much better.
Yeah, and he's got momentum.
Kip. Yeah,
and I tweeted too. I'm like, this kid. I tweeted an in-ring wrestling ability appreciation tweet for Kip. This guy in the ring is sick, and he's going to be a big part of this company in the future. He's got a bright future with AEW. So it's going to be interesting to see how, if I'm going with my prediction, how they'd make Dustin win. I can't see them building all this momentum for this guy, him winning this week, him beating Dustin, and then getting squashed by Lance Archer. Because if he faces Lance Archer, there's no way he's winning. Like, absolutely no way.
I don't know. Maybe I could see going like Darby versus Archer, or I feel like because we're building this whole thing with Cody and Archer. So
you think the finals will be Darby versus Archer? Oh man.
Yeah, that would be insane. It'd be a match that I would love to see.
You need a crowd for that. Like, you would need a crowd for, because if Darby,
you need a crowd for everything.
I know.
You know? I mean, it's working for how it's going right now, but I'm definitely down for it. But that match with Kip Sabian and Chucky T was great, and I love that we had Orange Cassidy and Penelope Ford involved. I died laughing with Orange Cassidy getting up on the ring, taking his jacket off after,
and then doing the finger thing in the mouth. Yeah.
I was dying. I was like,
and Jimmy Havoc getting involved too.
Oh man, I was so glad. I'm like, yes, why are we're finally getting to see some Jimmy Havoc. Give it to me. Like, I know our girl Ori is like excited for this as well. So, but oh man, Kyle, next week. Jimmy Havoc versus Orange Cassidy.
Guys, if you didn't know and you missed it on Dynamite, I know it flashed quickly when Scavone said it on commentary last night, but next week we're getting the Dynamite debut of Orange Cassidy. So we saw his debut at Revolution against Pac. He's getting his Dynamite debut against Jimmy Havoc next week. Oh man, like we just said, this match deserves a crowd, but it sucks.
He better come out with some fucking orange juice. I'm sorry. I'm so salty. I need the indie scene orange with the damn orange juice, and oh my god, like back then it was like backpack with the IWTV championship belt, but you would see the orange juice and a towel in the back pocket. I need to see the spot.
You should tweet at him.
I need to see the spot. I am going to do it after the podcast. I need to see the orange juice spot. I'm sorry. If you were a fan of Orange Cassidy before AEW, you know what the hell I'm ranting about. And JPQ tweeted, he goes, I can hear you screaming about Orange Cassidy all the way over here in PA. He was like, I am such a huge fan. Like, come on, man.
That'll be exciting. I'm pumped. And then we're getting, I believe I saw we're getting Dustin and Kip next week as well, that tournament match. So another epic, or another fun-filled episode of Dynamite next week to tune into, obviously with Orange Cassidy's second match ever in AEW. And then Dustin and Kip. I'm actually very intrigued to see who goes over in that match and how it's done. Like, and oh man, could you imagine what if it's not Archer and Cody in the finals? What if we're getting at another Battle of the Brothers for a finals? And we're getting Cody Dustin 2 at Double or Nothing.
I mean, that was a good match. It was a match that we didn't expect.
That's
right?
been the highest rated AEW match.
It really was. And like me and Kyle, it was when you go back to old episodes of me and Kyle, we weren't thrilled about this match. And then after seeing the match, we're like, damn. but I don't think that's gonna happen at all. But it would be interesting to see it again. I mean, we didn't really think that Dustin Rhodes was gonna continue on as well as much as he's been in the ring as much as he has. I think it would make a lot of people crazy. But like I said this too, if the quarantine wasn't going on, can you imagine all the other names that probably could have gone into the tournament? So it kind of like sucks. But if it came down to like Dustin and Cody, I can see Cody having the belt. We've had this conversation before that Cody can't challenge for the AEW belt, right? So he'd be perfect for mid card. I mean, I wouldn't be happy with it. I mean, the way that we're building Archer right now, like I feel like that belt needs to go on him and it can continue a feud with him and Cody. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, let us know.
On a business standpoint, it's weird giving the TNT belt to Cody for promotion wise and promoting the TNT brand is smart business. The business side of it's like golden, like because Cody is excellent with promoting AEW and what he was doing before all this pandemic. Like he was every single week, every Dynamite that they were going to, whatever city that they're in, he was appearing on like their morning news shows and their afternoon news shows and promoting AEW. Like he was getting the name out there. And can you imagine him doing that with a TNT championship and promoting the TNT brand at the same time?
Right.
So business sense, it looks good, but booking wise, and if we're talking like in wrestling here, I'd love to see Lance Archer with that championship because it would just further establish himself as a more of a beast than he already is, and he deserves a championship right now. So I don't know. I don't know. I want because they have it all booked. Like it's all taped. Unless again, like we said, they change their mind and they do a live episode of Dynamite and they change something in the tournament now. Who knows? But I'd love to know. And if they did that, I'd love to know what the original idea was.
Well, I'm wondering, like, do you think this belt would have played part here if the quarantine wasn't happening?
I think so. I think the original idea is probably going to debut it at Double or Nothing because they said they were going to do another belt eventually. And a TNT championship is a perfect idea, and they've said like this belt is going to mean it's not going to be labeled as a mid card championship. This is going to be another major championship in the company. Right. So, and they're going to use it to build stars. And if they're staying true to that nature, then Cody wouldn't be winning it here. We're going to probably see either. God, it would make sense if that line right there. It would make sense for Kip Sabian of all people to win the championship because you want to build that guy.
I would think Darby.
Or Darby, yeah, one of those two.
What if Darby than Kip? Because Darby, everybody's behind Darby, right? Here's this guy that nobody knew unless you were following him in the indie scene, and everybody's like really, really behind Darby. So if anybody, like, if you're gonna build somebody new, then I really feel like Darby deserves this belt more than any of them.
Okay. Yeah, I see both. I can see both. I know where you're going with Darby Allin.
Yeah, I don't think like Kip's there yet. Like Kip's good, and I'm glad like we're seeing more of him on TV. But Darby would be the one that everybody would go nuts about, right? Like we were in the beginning, with the tag team champions, like people were going, okay, like me, I was so fixated, I'm biased, I wanted Private Party. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people were saying Jurassic Express would have been good. But I get it, in the beginning of AEW, you wanted to have somebody who where it carries meaning to the name to bring fans over, and we're still new. And like I'll continue to say this, even though AEW has been around almost a year and a half now, AEW really hasn't been around since, I really don't consider it till October, because now we have the TV deal. So really it started since October. So you want, and again we'll get into our fan tweet about what with the fans of how would you bring a non AEW fan to AEW. We'll get into that in a little bit, but so yeah.
What'd you think of Britt Baker this week?
Okay, now I'm gonna say this because this plays a very important role, because I got a little annoyed the other day.
Of course.
All right. You cannot have an argument with me about women's wrestling in AEW. If you're going to come at me and be like, the women's roster is terrible, I'm going to go off, okay? So, now, granted, there are some that need work, but that's my point exactly. Don't say the whole roster is garbage, because it's not. You have some really great names in AEW. You have Sheeta, you have Big Swole, you have Chris Statlander, okay? These are your big, like names of like potential, right? Nyla Rose, like you have good things, right? And I know me and Kyle have not been a Rihu, and I know me and Kyle. This is the argument that I had the other day about Brooke Baker. Okay, her promo, like when she was in the dentist's office, it has gotten so much better since weeks ago, right? Like you and me did not like anything she was doing, right? This whole video, like I was like, she nailed it. Like it was so much better, right? And you got to remember too, with a lot of the women in here, they were not weekly wrestlers. They weren't in Ring of Honor. They weren't in WWE. Okay, Rio and Sheeta, Stardom. Okay, like they were on weekly. So Britt Baker, she was becoming a dentist. Oh my God, she's a dentist. Okay.
Wait. Hold up. We gotta stop this podcast. Where's the stop button? I can't find it. What the hell? Britt Baker? A dentist?
Oh God.
No way. Okay, Tiff's lying, guys. Don't worry. I don't know where she's getting delusions from, but Britt Baker, dentist, apparently. Okay, go on.
Okay, but like my whole point is, here's someone who wasn't 100% in the wrestling world, right? Yeah. She wasn't doing this weekly. She wasn't doing promos weekly. She didn't have that advantage. So you know what? You can't be so damn hard on her, all right, about it. Okay, yes, her in-ring work, she needs help with too. But again, remember, she still has a shoot job. All right. And she's wrestling. She's not used to doing this every week. It's only going to get better from here. So to sit here and argue with me, you're not going to win, because this is going to be my answer, is that, and this is a conversation that me and Ray are going to have on Indie Talks. We're going to go back to basics, where all these people started. All these people started in the indie scene. Your Seth Rollins, your Kevin Owens were in the indie scenes, guys, before they went over to WWE. So the same thing with AEW. A lot of these guys, they were in the indie scenes and had a shoot job, okay, before they were full-time wrestler. Or some of them still have a shoot job and still wrestle. So don't sit here and argue with me.
Apparently Britt Baker is a dentist, but we're going off Tiff source here.
I'm sorry for the rant, but it's true.
I thought she was getting ready for Halloween. I don't know. I don't know about you, but
no, okay. Not for nothing, I liked her gear this week. I really liked her gear. I love that she had the little tooth on the back of the bra strap. I really liked it. Like, yes, she still needs work, okay? Like she really does, and she will get there. And we said this, even like you were talking about Kip Sabian earlier. A lot of people did not like Kip Sabian in the beginning, but again, they're not used to working weekly. So you're only going to get better if you keep working in the ring.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you, because I don't want to, because that was a pretty big rant there. All I'm going to say is, I'm giving full props to Britt Baker for wrestling one week, breaking her damn nose and bleeding all over the place, and literally coming to the next episode and wrestling again and having another match. So,
or did she?
Yeah, who knows when they taped that? But they're playing off the, like, she even like called Sheeta out on it when she was walking by. So this literally was the very next match that she wrestled. Yeah. So I'm giving her props. High five to her.
Thing, like, come on.
And I guess that her opponent was kind of like, ironic in a sense, because it was actually Hikaru Shida's first opponent in AEW. So they're saying on commentary that, was it Cassandra Golden? She wrestled her first Dynamite match against Hikaru Shida. So, okay, it's kind of ironic in that sense, I guess. But they've both she's gotten squashed by both of those girls now. And then it was in quick fashion. She did the whole rope thing where she kicked her teeth down. Yeah, it's going to take time. Just give it time, guys. Just give it time. Don't be so hard on these people. Other than that,
I probably couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No. Absolutely not.
Other than that, Jericho and commentary again was amazing. Again, it's a highlight. They did the whole the The bubbly bunch, what they call it, the bubbly bunch. That was hilarious with Santana, Ortiz, Jericho, Hager, Jericho like spilling the orange juice, and the dogs all looking at him, and everyone remembers the dogs like release the hounds. Those are all the dogs that are running
That
after
was great.
Vanguard. They're all
Oh
just
my
like
God.
running down the Elite. I thought that was pretty funny. I was dying at that whole segment. I thought it was
Yeah.
good. It's good. It's comic relief. It was great.
Hey, that's it.
I mean, the Elite or the Inner Circle can't be together, so they do something like that, which is amazing. And they had the whole that old Brady Bunch screen where they're all looking at each other in the squares.
Dead. I died. I was like, I really? Yo, when freaking Jericho with the toilet paper just killed me. That was it. When he was like the assist on the other call.
Yeah.
I died. I was like, yes. I still don't
That
have
was my assistant. Where's my toilet paper?
I can't.
And then we had the main event, which was they made it a very big fight feel. Like obviously with the promos that we got last week leading up to this match, and then throughout the night they had multiple sports media people and like UFC people, like my boy Mike Goldberg commenting on this. And I love Mike Goldberg. I love the whole "here we go." Like I love that, and he did it for us, and it was great. They really made it feel like a big fight feel, and I don't know, didn't live up to it.
It was too much MMA for me, and I wasn't crazy about it. And yeah, this was something that probably needed a crowd feel with it as well that I had felt about, but it was like I said, it was too much MMA style for me.
It was a decent match, but it wasn't what it didn't need all that build. Like all the build they did for it, I didn't get.
I think they were like trying also to kill like time and to feed into the Dynamite episode.
It's just when you do stuff like that, you kind of expect a awesome outcome and like a good payoff. And I enjoyed the match. Like it was hardcore. These two like beat the hell out of each other. They went through the crowd like they were supposed to. Empty arena match. It was weird because it was very quiet, but you know what I mean? Like it was good, but it wasn't what they've built it up to be. Like they are building this up to be like a main event pay-per-view match with the style they did with the promos. And actually, so Moxley won, and my girl Mrs. Masters caught it in the promos that they showed, where Hager's wife said, if he doesn't win here, he's gonna have to find somewhere else to sleep. And she tweeted right away saying, "So where's Hager gonna sleep tonight?" So
I don't know.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Who knows what the answer is? Maybe we'll have like a video of him like sleeping on the road or something.
Oh my God, that would be funny. Like next week, like a little video. Like it's a little humor too, as well.
But yeah, I mean, it was decent. It was all right. It wasn't the greatest. And then what I picked out from it was Moxley, like very, very intense, and he was very vocal in the match. And Hager, my God, man, the guy is not in. I guess he's in MMA ring shape, I guess you could say, but he is not in wrestling ring shape because that guy sweats buckets. Like he was sweating buckets, and Moxley didn't have a drop on him. The only sweat that Moxley had on him was from Hager sweating it onto him.
Yeah.
It's not sanitary nowadays, but.
So Brad asked in the chat, who's the next opponent for the title now?
All right, because in terms of Double or Nothing,
good question.
Good is a very good question. I'm assuming they're gonna have to start that build next week. God, unless Brody Lee's they said we're gonna hear from Brody Lee next week. Maybe we're gonna start a program with Brody Lee and John Moxley.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of because I'm thinking of the people that they have. You got to think about the roster they have there.
Sean Spears is still looking for his tag team. I mean, that would be interesting to see Sean Spears and John Moxley go at it. Well, who's like around now? Because we're using the same, like Kip not there yet.
They can't face the tag team champions because Hangman's not there.
Well, yeah, and then they're setting up for Kenny and Colt.
Yeah.
That's probably gonna happen at Double or Nothing. I don't. Again, like
why I say Brody
a lot
Lee.
can change. A lot can change. Does somebody else in the inner circle go for it? Does like?
Well, Santana and Ortiz can't be there. Sammy and Hagar, I believe, are the only, and Jericho are the only ones that are there. So you got to think about the crop of wrestlers they have there.
I would love to see a run with Trent for it, because I keep talking about, like, especially that we've seen a bunch of singles with him. I could see that happening. But I mean, like, how would you build it? But we have plenty of time to build within the next couple of weeks.
I think it's going to be Brody Lee. Oh boy.
Chris Steeler has attacked. Yes, give Chris Steeler a target.
Well, maybe it could even be Sean Spears, because right now he's looking for a partner, but obviously he's not going to find anyone that's with the people that are there.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be put on hold until everything gets back to normal.
Conrad said he feels like MJF could, but he hasn't wrestled.
No, he's not there. So neither is Wardlow. So no. It's going to be with whoever they have there, and they have to go with the cards they're dealt. And if they've taped everything up to Double or Nothing, you think about it, it's with the people they have. So my estimation is Brody Lee. And that's why they said, I mean, they announced it this week on Dynamite that Brody Lee, we're going to hear from him next week. Maybe he makes an open challenge to John Moxley, and John Moxley accepts. You know, they run a storyline with, you know, the Dark Order and John Moxley. It's something. They have to go with the hands they're dealt.
Like, Arco rematch. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would love to see, like, it go away from, like,
Wardlow's been announced for next week's Dynamite. I missed that. Completely missed that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but what, did he win, like, one match? Right? Because he lost to Cody. But, like, he's only won one match.
I know how you're going to transition. It's going to start next week, though. I know it's going to start next week. I'm just going by what's been said so far, and I'm kind of putting pieces together. I'm going to guess Brody Lee, and I'll stick to it. There is some interesting ones out there that people are saying, but I'm going to think Brody Lee. Brotis Lee.
I know. So should we go to our fan tweet?
Yes, let's do the fan tweet.
Okay. So if you guys are listening to this later or you're in the chat, drop them in the chat. I mean, we talked about this last week on the podcast. If you had to introduce a new fan to AEW, which match would you show them? So we got a lot. All right. So I'm just going to read a few since we're, like, pinching for time. Datila said a lot of matches to choose from, but I'd pick Alpha versus Omega 2 from Double or Nothing. Kilroy said.
Yeah, Kilroy, ooh. It's our boy right there.
Omega versus Pac in the Iron Man match, or Bucks versus Hangman and Omega in the tag match. Yep. Matt G said Pac versus Hangman and Trent versus Kenny. That was a good match.
Okay.
Conrad said Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. It has the perfect story to bring a fan from the past back to wrestling and a new fan in. I think the overall match puts a wrestling fan on an emotional roller coaster and then has a picture perfect ending.
I think you show them everything too. Like, you show them all the promos and everything leading up to that match too. Like, you show them everything from how that first started to get Cody's opponent, to them announcing it, to the match itself, so you get the full picture too.
Yeah. I like this one. Our girl Marie Shadows, she was like, oh damn. So she gave 3. She said Kenny Omega versus Moxley, Kenny Omega and Hangman versus Young Bucks, Sammy versus Luchasaurus. She says matches with Marco Stunt and more. She goes, you had me open up my AEW match notes book to write it. Our boy Metal said Omega versus Pac. RJ said Dustin versus Cody. Charlene said Mox Kenny at Full Gear. That was good. Dave said he did top 5. Cody versus Dustin. Paige and Omega versus the Young Bucks. Moxley versus Omega. Cody versus Darby at Fyter Fest. And Pac versus Omega, the Iron Man match. So let me see if there's anyone else, because a lot of you guys like I said, like, the same ones. It was a lot of the Cody versus Dustin in here. So
Cody, I think's calling me.
Oh, here Andrew wrote Orange Cassidy versus Pac. It highlights some comedy, some hard-hitting action, athleticism, and very solid storytelling from both guys.
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna two more. Zach said the first match where Jericho faced Darby, and Regnu Mas said Pax versus Omega and Page, 6 fucking stars. Yeah.
If I had to think, there's a couple. I can't think of just one. I'd pick obviously the tag team match between the 7-star one, Kenny Omega and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. I would pick the other mine are all tag team. I would pick the Escalada de la Muerte, at All Out. That's my top one. And the third one, I would pick week 2. I think it was week 2 or week 3 of AEW Dynamite from Boston. Our boys Private Party versus the Young Bucks.
Absolutely. Those the last two are the ones that I would definitely pick. There was just so many. Brad said Jericho versus Scorpio Sky. That was an emotional match. And you know what? Like, I would love to see that again. That would be a great match that I would love to see at Double or Nothing, because they had to cut that match short. And I would have loved if they had like a little bit more time, because they were racing the clock on that. That's right. Match. So I would love to see that.
The promo the week before was great too. That was like, I'm gonna turn Le Champion into Le Bitch.
Yeah. So that's definitely one that I absolutely enjoyed, but I would have enjoyed it more as a pay-per-view, to have more time in the ring instead of rushed, because those two can really go at it. Scorpio Sky's that good. So
they could. Are all of SCU quarantined in California right now?
I guess. I mean, because they're all there.
Yeah, at the compound.
Yo, can we talk? Let's talk BTE, because.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll transition on to BTE. Three parts.
We're gonna like mix it up, because there's just like too many things going on between all these damn parts or whatever. But Cutler, Capri Sun Cutler.
Yeah.
I'm done.
God.
I'm done. Like,
but yeah, we're getting this 3-parter that's leading up to episode 200, and God, we out of all 3 parts, they open up with there was a part 1. They had Matt Hardy explain the rules of a jobber match, and his Matt Hardy broken voice. And then they transitioned it to SCU facing a couple of jobbers at the Young Buck compound.
Oh my God.
That was great. I thought it was great. That was probably one of my favorite
parts.
That
they're going to eventually get signed over to AEW? Do you think a lot of these talents that are the indie scene, like, that they're might eventually, or maybe they'll be in like battle royals in the future?
They might pick and choose. Like they're serious about who they choose. Like there's so many indie talent people out there that, it's tough to give everyone a shot. Obviously, they're going to pick and choose who they think is going to be good for them and good for their company. I think they're for the time being giving a lot of these people jobs because they can't get any jobs out there, and they're just being nice, right? So, but they could pick and choose. We already seen one, Anna Jay. I mean, she was part of QT's gym before, but we had no idea. Even if this virus didn't happen, we don't know if she was ever going to get signed by AEW before this. We don't know.
She had a great.
Yeah, but
talked about that.
You know what I mean? She's been part of this crop of indie talent that have been appearing there on TV. So who knows?
Right.
Who knows? But as for Pete Elite this week, it's been so many great parts.
I think of the call with Cutler and Avalon and Scorpio Sky, and they're like, "Who lost?" He's like, "Yeah, but he's drinking his tea or whatever," and I was cracking up with that. Like,
and they have a triple threat match, those 3.
Yes, I mean, how great was that? Like, like he pinned them both.
Yeah. So they're both still losers.
Yes, I love it. And I love how like they're calling on the phone, "You lost, no, you lost." And like even in part 3, when Peter Avalon jumped into the rumble, and then he gets thrown out, and then he's like, "You're next. Give me the camera."
Yeah.
Brandon Cutler drinking the Capri, like us dying. He's like, "Give me back the camera." He was like, "I'm too contract Cutler."
To contract Cutler. Cutler footage.
That's probably going to be a Double or Nothing match. Peter Avalon versus Brandon Cutler. Who's going to get their first win?
That'll be exciting. God, that needs a crowd too. Damn it.
It needs me and Kyle, because me and Kyle are big fans of the both.
Can you invite us both out there? Like, and like we'll be at ringside. I'll hold my sign as his Cutler footage.
But he's signed.
Yeah. But then we saw in the later parts of Being Elite that they're building this Matt versus Nick, and even part 3. Oh my god, it was hilarious. They're interviewing Matt, and Matt's just giving he's not giving straight answers, and Nick's just giving like straight ass answers. He's like, I don't know. I'm not gonna give out my brother's weakness. And then they ask Nick his back. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna work on his back for sure.
Right. Oh man.
And there's that little merch freak. It's like the little 5-second merch freak thing.
I was dead. I was like, come on. Jeez, crazy. Oh my god. What did you think of my boys' private party?
That was funny.
I was so excited. If you guys were following Isaiah on Instagram, I was dying because Isaiah had put it in his Instagram stories about him and Quinn beating up the bear, right? So like I know probably a lot of people don't know the story. I didn't even know, okay, until like I saw the Instagram stories that I would start dying. These are things from like 2 years ago, some of the things with the bear. Shout out to my boy Isaac who recorded and edited all that shit. And then my boy Bones was there too. Like I was like, yes, I was like, I'm loving this. So I was like, he needs some milk. Again, you have to go on the Instagram of Isaiah to see these videos with the bear kicking Quinn in Isaiah's ass. I'm dead.
It's been good though. It's been good. Like I've only seen part 1 and 3, to be honest. I kind of skipped over part 2.
Jeez, Kyle. Yeah. So you didn't see what I'm talking about.
No. I've seen clips. Sorry, I've seen a clip of it on Twitter. Someone retweeted on my timeline, and I read the comments saying it was on BT, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh man, I mean, when Isaiah was calling Paige Adam Pussy Pant Paige, I was dying. Oh my god. Then we see like Kenny and Colt Cabana in the second one with the bathroom, that Kenny had to use the bathroom, but he said that he was waiting outside for 45 minutes, and then he's like knocks on the door, and like Colt's like no, and he closes the door. He's like, I gotta use the restroom, and then he tries to go to another one, and then it's like taped up with the yellow warning signs or whatever.
When Kenny was working out in part 1, and
the little like,
yeah,
the waist, and the Colt helps him or whatever. I'm like, oh my god,
that was good.
Oh jeez.
Jeez.
Oh, the best was when Nick came out in the Rumble, and then he stopped, and then he went over to Scorpio Sky when Scorpio Sky was playing basketball. Then he like super kicks Scorpio Sky, and then he super kicks Peter Avalon. I'm like, yes, these are the little things like that are so entertaining, and these are the reasons why I love BTE. Kyle, get on episode 1 on BTE, and can we talk about my boy Marty Skrull and Flip?
Yeah, their little parts there
this week.
And Marty Skrull.
They're asking for the shame
Nick
bell
and Mark
for
Jackson.
you to watch it.
Those guys are dead to me.
Oh my god!
Wait, Flip. Wait, Nick versus Matt. Can I get booked?
That goes back to All In.
Yeah.
When the whole build of All In with Flip trying to get booked the entire way. So, again, these are like little gems that you have to go back to, like BT. If you have not watched, and this is the perfect time, if you're home and you're looking for something to do, go start. And if you haven't, I mean, shit, like I want to go back and like start from the beginning again and watch BTE from episode 1, because there's so many things like that even till now that you would play off of from the beginning. Mm-hmm. It all starts from the beginning. So
I'm excited.
Good. So next week, episode 200.
I imagine like it's going to be like a 40-minute episode, and like 30 minutes of it is going to be the match. That's what I'm guessing.
There's going to be a lot of super kicks or a lot.
I really feel like they're going to do half cinematic too. I feel like some cinematic stuff's going to be put into this match.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
So I'm intrigued to see what they do. But yeah. Yeah, so Being Elite is a 3-parter leading up to episode 200 next week, Tiff. Exciting stuff.
I'm ready. Let's go.
So, guys, we've reached almost the end of the episode here. And while you're sitting here watching the rest of the end of this episode, make sure you go follow everyone on social media. And then when I say everyone, I mean the No Holds Barred Network. and the podcast. Make sure you're following the No Holds Barred Network on social media, liking it on Facebook at No Holds Barred Network, following it at NHB Network, and on Twitter, and then on Instagram. Yes, there's an Instagram for the network. That is Instagram.com/No Holds Barred Network. Again, all links will be in the description below for you guys on YouTube to click. Easier to get to if you click our link tree. All links will be in there as well. All Elite Podcast. Make sure you're liking it on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/All Elite Podcast. On Twitter at All Elite Pod. And on Instagram as well at All Elite Pod. And each and every single week, guys, we like to thank Darren from These Wolves, who let us use the themes or the song Dead to Me as our official theme song. So thank you, Darren. And These Wolves, Darren will be a very special guest on the new podcast coming to the network. I'm excited to get that done. So thank you again, Darren. And go check them out and give some love and show some love to These Wolves. Music for the elite. Damn right. Ain't that right, Tiff? So guys, thank you for listening live. If you're watching live here on YouTube, if you're watching back on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button. You're hitting the subscribe button as well. Hitting that like button does wonders for us, guys. It promotes the video on YouTube, so make sure you are hitting that like button. You're also sharing us on Twitter by retweeting our tweets. We do appreciate all the love you guys give us each and every single week, and we appreciate you guys supporting us and getting content out each and every single week right here on the No Holds Barred Network. If you download this episode, thank you again. We appreciate you guys out there too, the audio listeners who download each and every single week, whether it's on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere. All you have to do is search up the No Holds Barred Network. You'll find us and you'll find this podcast as well. Thank you for downloading the episodes. It means well to us, guys. Thank you very much for joining us here right in the All Elite Podcast. Episode number 78. We're getting close to 100, Tiff, of this podcast venture. And I am your host, as always, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, owner and CEO of the No Holds Barred Network. And I'm always joined by my co-host. She's the executive vice president of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the queen of the indies herself, Tiffany. And guys, we'll see you guys next time right here on the All Elite Podcast. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you next time.
Me